There are days that are simply not okay. You get out of bed, you're on your way. This is one of those. There are cheerleaders and those who'd pump you up with platitudes, words that don't mean much, not much at all. Oh, my friend, I will meet you where you are. I won't throw flower petals on your wounded heart. If it's not okay, we won't pretend. But if it's not okay, it's not the end. Aren't you stronger than you ever used to be? At least that's the way it seems to me. If not to you, aren't you the one who's made it all this way? No matter what those voices in your head might say, it's up to you. Oh, my friend, I will meet you where you are. I won't throw flower petals on your wounded heart. If it's not okay, we won't pretend. But if it's not okay, it's not the end. Oh, my friend, I will meet you where you are. I won't throw flower petals on your wounded heart. If it's not okay, we won't pretend. But if it's not okay, it's not the end. Looking through a broken glass, this too shall pass. There are times that are simply not okay. What you do with them, it's up to you to say. You get to say, oh, my friend, I will meet you where you are. I won't throw flower petals on your wounded heart. If it's not okay, we won't pretend. But if it's not okay, it's not the end.
Good morning, Celebration Center for Spiritual Living, and welcome to another fabulous Sunday morning. My name is Reverend Kris Alexander. I'm the senior minister here at Celebration Center. We are physically located in Falls Church, Virginia. But if you've been around at all, you know that actually matters very little because we have a vibrant and robust hybrid community that is global. We have people from all over the world checking us out on our website and joining us online. So if you are joining us this morning online, an extra special welcome to you today. My question for you today is, and if you're online, I invite you to put it in the chat, and if you're here in the room, shout it out for me. What is your least favorite chore? Washing dishes. Me too. I flippin' hate it. Washing dishes. I would say that's mine too. Least favorite chore. Cleaning the litter box. That's a good one. Putting your socks on in the morning. You know, I am, my knees all tight this morning, and I almost had to unbutton my jeans to get my socks on this morning. So it's a chore for sure. What else? You know what's sad is I would rather clean the litter box than do the dishes. I would, I know. Oh, you want to trade? Like every couple weeks, Lynn's going to come to my house and do my dishes, and Stephanie's house, and we'll go to your house and clean your cat litter box. The question is, what is your least favorite household chore? Cleaning anything, just the act of cleaning. Cat litter box. Yep, Richard, we have two people who hate the cat litter box and two people who hate the dishes. We're going to work out a trade. What is your least favorite household chore? Anybody else? Anybody online? Cleaning the bathroom. Once again, that's okay. Cleaning the hot tub. That's a pain in the rear end. Decluttering. Oh, I changed my mind. I would rather do dishes than declutter. Let's see. Oh, Tim, I hate house cleaning. So did Suzanne. I don't like scrubbing, sweeping, stopping to pick up, and so forth. So forth, yeah. The whole, just, the fact that we have to clean in general, 0 out of 10, do not recommend. All right, well, that's gonna be percolating, I know, and then today we are talking about the mundane, and I think we can all agree that household chores fall into the category of the mundane, at least for the most part, unless you're just, I don't know, built differently from the majority of us. So that is what I'm going to be talking about today. We have a new theme this month, the mundane, the sacred, and the profane. Oh my. So I'm really excited to get into this month and be talking about all of those different things. We also have our music director here, Lynn Hollyfield, and she is going to be joined by Jen Fay. Let's give them a round of applause. And Jen Fay is also our practitioner on platform this morning, so let's give her a round of applause. And I don't say it every week, but you know what? Let's give a shout out this week to our illustrious tech team. We have an incredible tech team that is bringing all of this to you live, giving us the amazing sound in here. They have really perfected their art, and we are very grateful for them. The best sound person is a person that you don't know is back there, right? When sound is good, you don't know it's happening. If you are joining us for the very first time this morning, an extra special welcome to you. We're so glad that you're here this morning, and we would love to get to know you just a little bit better. So we would like to invite you to fill out a guest card. You can do that in a couple of different ways. If you're here in the room, you are welcome to the table on your left to fill out a guest card there. Or if you are tech savvy, online or in the room, or not, whichever, scan this QR code with your phone that has popped up right here next to me. Or you can also go to bit.ly/CCSL guest. That's just going to help us get to know you a little better. You can sign up for our website or our e-news there and find out what all's going on. If you are interested in having us pray with you this week, we would love to receive a prayer request from you. There are also several ways you can do that. If you are here in the room, the green prayer request cards are to your left on the table. You can also fill out this QR code that's now popping up, or you can go to our website, celebrationcenter.org, and click on Request Affirmative Prayers. Those prayers go to our ministers, our practitioners, and our ministry of prayer that meets on Monday afternoons. It is held in complete confidentiality and love, and we would love to hold you and support you in whatever you have going on. If you are online right now, or if you're in the room playing on your phone, I don't see anybody doing that, but you never know. Go ahead and just click on that share button that is pulling up right below this video. Share this out to your friends and family. Let them know what you're up to this Sunday morning and invite them to join you as well. And finally, this Thursday night, we are creating shawls out of blankets, y'all. I am so flipping excited about this. So it's going to be, do I have the wrong date on here? That's the problem. Good Lord. Thursday, November 9th at 6:30. I now just realized why I've given you guys the wrong date every single week, and it's because I have the wrong date in my notes. So it's going to be Thursday, November 9th at 6:30 here in CCSL at Haight Hall. You can go to celebrationcenter.org to get our address. And we are going to be taking old Afghans and blankets and transforming them into shawls. All of the materials are going to be provided for you. It is a $20 love offering that goes for those materials and then to support Celebration Center. And that is being put on by our board president and artist extraordinaire, Miriam Catellis. So I'm super excited about that. Make sure to RSVP so we can make sure to have plenty of supplies for everyone. And now I would like to invite Jen and Lynn up for our opening song.
Okay, we would love if you would join us in singing Everything is Sacred by Denise Rocher and Jennifer Spear. Everything is sacred. Everything is filled with the divine. Everything's alive with spirit, with spirit. Everything's a wonder. Blessing bursting from the earth and sky. Everything is alive with spirit, with spirit. Everyone is sacred. Everyone is filled with the divine. Everyone is alive with spirit, with spirit. We are alive, with spirit, with spirit. We are alive, with the Spirit.
Good morning, I'm Jen Fay, one of the practitioners here. Welcome to fall and all the wonder that those fall colors bring. So please join me in saying our vision statement. We are celebrating spirit within and knowing the oneness of humanity. So our reading today comes from Father Richard Rohr, from his book, Everything is Sacred, 40 Practices and Reflections on the Universal Christ. Over time, we move beyond a dualistic view of God being up there while we are down here, to a vision where God is up there, down here, in others and within ourselves, all at the same time. We are all in Cristo. In taking this view, we start to see that all things are sacred, including the masks that we wear, the shadows we seek to hide, the wounds that we carry, and the parts of ourselves we could consider as profane. Everything is sacred. So taking a breath together, holding that breath, and exhale. Another inhale, and hold, and an exhale. One more time, inhale, and hold, and exhale. And as we breathe together and allow that sense of connection, know that our hearts also begin to sync together, synchronize. And so we move into that sacred practice of prayer. There is one life. That life is shining through all the details of life. It is shining through what we call sacred and what we would not call sacred. It is shining through as joy, and it is shining through as sadness. And so all of those opposites come together in the quality of love. That there is love behind it all, and when we can sink into that knowing, life feels easier. And so we trust that Spirit is behind all these details, and Spirit is expressing through each one of us in a beautiful way. And in that way of expression, there is evolution taking place. There is a receptivity. We are opening to the grace that allows us to hold these contrasting ideas. The grace that allows us to move through life with a deep peace in our being. And so receptivity, opening to the grace, opening to the abundance and the wholeness within our bodies, opening to the harmony, the balance, opening to greater possibilities than we have ever known, opening to what is yet to be known, just trusting this process. And so with a grateful heart, I simply release these words into the law, allowing them to be in our experience as we believe. And so it is.
We're going to share a Bob Sima song. And this is called No Mud, No Lotus. No mud, no lotus. Haven't you noticed the patterns of the pain in your past? The things that broke you also woke you to the questions you needed to ask. Sleepless nights and the dizzying heights and the dreams, some of which came true. Tough breaks, heartaches, perfect mistakes created the version of you. And everything you go through grows you. Grows you, and everything you go through grows you, exposes who you are. If it hurt, it made you softer. If it was hard, it fueled the hunger. If it touched you, your heart took hold. If it was simple, it made you wise. If it was sweet, it made you smile. Leave an impression on you. Your feet, they walked, and your lips, they talked, and your hands dug around for the proof. Every look, every book, picture in your mind you took created this version of you. And everything you go through grows you. Grows you, and everything you go through grows you, exposes who you are. Roots of an endless summer, part-time temporary lovers, and the swoon of a deep blue sky. As the time flew, you planted and gathered your truth as it passed before your eyes. The wound is where the light gets in, revealing the masterpiece just beneath the skin. In the glow of your own light, petals open wide, and you bloom right where you are. Everything you go through grows you. Grows you, and everything you go through grows you. Exposes who you are. No mud, no lotus. Haven't you noticed the patterns of the pain in your past? The things that broke you, they also awoke you to the questions you needed to ask.
Thank you both. And I love Richard Rohr, so I love that you chose one of his quotes for this morning. Yeah, so let's talk about the mundane, shall we? Right at the beginning of the service, I talked a little bit about household chores. I would think that household chores are definitely considered to be mundane by most of us. Some people maybe really love cleaning, or maybe you've reached enlightenment status and you have no attachment to what you're up to or anything like that. But most of us have preferred and unpreferred activities. So here's my question for you. By show of hands, or you can put yes or no in the chat if you're online. How many of you have been bored at some point in the last week? Bored. Just bored. I'm getting a couple of hands. How many of you found yourself with nothing to do, and so you either reached for your phone or your computer to scroll social media? How many people scrolled social media this week? I did. I would say I didn't. A lot more hands raised for that. I wasn't bored because I reached for my phone and scrolled on social media, right? So this is what was really interesting to me as I began to think about this idea of mundanity. Is that a word? It is now. This idea of the mundane aspects of our lives. I began to think about how we have, as a society, worked really hard to make sure that there's nothing mundane that happens in our lives. We have all these newfangled, exciting tools to clean with. We can listen to our music and our earbuds while we do other things. We can, listen to podcasts while we wash dishes. We can, whatever it may be. We have worked really hard as a society to make sure to kind of eliminate the possibility of boredom. And here's the thing, those mundane tasks, those boring tasks are their juice, their fodder for all of the other aspects of our lives. They're so important. To be bored, to just sit in the mundanity, maybe that is the word, mundanity of life is a gift. So I started to think about, why is it that if I have 0.2 seconds of free time, I immediately reach for my phone to see what's going on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Pinterest or my email or, pick your preferred thing, YouTube, whatever it may be. And what we do is when that happens, when we pick up our phone and we go into our favorite app, whatever it may be, we get a dopamine hit. Now, dopamine is the neurotransmitter that is responsible for, it's the chemical produced in our brains that plays a factor in motivating behavior. So when we get a hit of dopamine, it motivates us to do that activity again, right? So dopamine happens when we take a bite of really delicious food. It happens when we have sex, when we exercise, when we have successful social encounters. So when something that we have evolved to think is a good thing to do or something that we should do, we get a hit of dopamine and it says, do that more, that feels really good. It motivates us to do things more. Now the problem comes where social media platforms like Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, they leverage the exact same neurochemistry used by slot machines and cocaine. So we are literally addicted to our social media, because what happens is, we're bored for half a millisecond. So we pop out our phone, we check Facebook, we have a notification, boom, dopamine hit. And then we click on the notification, it's an ad, it's not even a real notification, right? But it's already done. The dopamine hit is already there. Then we scroll a little bit, we comment, somebody else has commented on something somebody else said. All of a sudden we're watching somebody's fight. We're fighting with a stranger on the internet. We're telling them why they're wrong and we're right. All of that is dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. And we are addicted to our phones. We're addicted to our phones. Same thing happens with games. Anything you do on your phone is going to cause a dopamine hit that is using the same neural pathways as cocaine and slot machines. So it causes, social media and technology in general releases such high levels of dopamine that when we do anything else, we feel like it's boring, or like it's just not stimulating, or it's just not worthwhile. And so you can see, maybe that doesn't happen as much if you're doing something really exciting with your friends. You're going to a Lynn Holyfield concert, or you're, coming to the center where you're going to see your beautiful community and get some hugs. That all feels pretty good. But what about when you compare seeing a notification pop up on Facebook and your favorite person has responded to the post that you posted yesterday about how you should be grateful for everything, compared to cleaning the cat litter box? All of a sudden, that becomes such a difference that we think that these mundane aspects of life aren't worth doing. Things like walking around the block for our mental and physical health and to see our neighbors, or raking the leaves, or sitting outside and watching the birds, or reading a book, or whatever it may be. All of a sudden, those things can't compare with the dopamine hits that we get off of constantly checking our social media, our phones, our technology. So what we get to do is we literally have to detox our brains. We have to retrain our brains to be bored, because boredom is actually a really powerful, motivating force in and of itself. How many of you have heard, said maybe, I get my best ideas in the shower? I get my best ideas in the shower. Well, why is that? Because all of a sudden, you're not distracted by the technology around you. What I have found is that when I have a big talk coming up, or something that I'm really focused on, I'm creating content, I'm creating a class, I'm writing something, what I immediately do is I write a lot of nothing time into my schedule. I do a lot of nothing. I sit and stare at this wall, and then I get up and I go stare at that wall, and then I get up and I go watch the birds, because that's when my best ideas come. And it's really hard. I have to leave my phone somewhere else. Otherwise, I'm staring at a wall, and then all of a sudden I'm on Facebook, and I don't even remember pulling the phone out of my pocket and getting on. We have to retrain our brains away from this thing that we're addicted to. All right, here's my next question. Are you ready? How many of you are good at multitasking? Really? Nobody? Okay, we got one person. Multitasking. Doing multiple things at once. I got a couple of this. It's declining. It's declining. How many would say that you were good at multitasking in your heyday? I would say I was good at multitasking in my heyday. Like, I could go to work and I could get 500 things done, and I was just boom, boom, boom. Stephanie says she used to think she was good at multitasking, but with age comes wisdom. Now she knows better. So yes, that's where we're headed. Multitasking is a myth. Nobody can multitask. It's impossible. Our brains cannot do two things at once. So what you are actually doing when you're multitasking is you're flipping your attention back and forth really fast between however many different things. And here's the problem with that. When you do that, it actually impacts, and this is research done across a lot of different, I can tell you all of the different people that researched all the different things. If you want to know, you can come ask me afterwards. But research has shown that when you try to multitask, it impacts your short-term memory. So that working memory, your brain's scratch pad where you keep everything that you need to do for the day in that brain, or what you're up to, or you walk into a room and you forget why you're there and you have to walk back out, and then you go, oh yeah, and then you walk back in and maybe you repeat that a few times before you remember why you're in there while you're in there. So it impacts our short-term memory. It leads to increased anxiety, and when you add the amount of caffeine that we all drink to the amount of multitasking we all try to do, that's a lot of anxiety. It inhibits our creative thinking. It makes us less creative to try to multitask. It stops us from getting into a flow state. Most of the people here in this room were here last year when we did the movie Soul. And if you weren't, no problem. Well, go back and watch it. It was really great. It was in October. And but in that movie Soul, they talk about flow states. The main character is a pianist, and he gets into this flow state, and they actually go somewhere. It's a kids movie. All movies that I'm going to recommend are kids movies because that's just who I am as a person, right? And they get into this flow state, and all of a sudden they're somewhere else, and they're creating, and they're manifesting, and they're just in this zone of genius, in their passion, in their elements. How many people have experienced that? I know I have. That zone of genius flow state. Well, we can't get there if we're multitasking. And it causes more mistakes and less productivity. So multiple studies have found that multitasking causes people to take longer to do simple tasks. It drops your IQ by 10 points. And it can have the same negative impact as losing an entire night's sleep. Those three, I was like, yeah, that's rough, right? So now all of a sudden, when we're trying to scroll Facebook with one hand and wash the dishes with the other hand, we're not doing either one very well, and it takes longer, and we've now lost the equivalent of an entire night's sleep, and we're dumb while we're doing it, right? It's not a good idea, and yet we try so hard to multitask. Now, multitasking includes thinking about something else while you're doing something else. People spend almost 47% of their waking hours thinking about something other than what they're currently doing. So by that definition of multitasking, I bet a lot more people would raise their hands when they say that they multitask, right? Because how often do you find that your brain has wandered off and you have to reread the paragraph you're reading or whatever it may be? Involuntary multitasking, which, thank you, is because we now have trained our brains that we never want to be bored, and so we're constantly all over the place at all times. We think that we have to have maximum productivity, and maximum productivity means that we have to be thinking about everything we're doing, and we have to be doing multiple things at once, and we have to make sure that everybody knows that we're available at all times, right? So back in the 90s, Ellen DeGeneres had a stand-up comedy show, and in it, she was talking about hands-free telephone technology. You remember the good old days when hands-free tech was like a brand new thing, and it was miraculous, and all of a sudden you could go hands-free. Y'all remember that back in the 90s? I do. It was a while ago now. And she said, chances are, if you need both your hands to do something, your brain should be in on it too. And I thought that was a really good point, right? Because how many of us are talking on the phone and doing something else or miss our turns because we are on the phone or fiddling with the radio or whatever it may be? multitasking is a myth. We're not actually good at it. So if you're in the workforce, UC Irvine did a study, and they found that workers average only 3 minutes on a given task before switching to another task, only about 2 minutes using a digital tool or app before switching to a different digital tool or app. And they found that they are using an average of 56 different apps and websites per day and switching between them more than 300 times. Sounds exhausting, y'all. It sounds exhausting. And then I think about how I work, and I'm flipping between Facebook, and I'm flipping between Canva and MailChimp and my email thing, and I'm answering an email, and then I'm creating a t-shirt, and then I'm writing a blog, and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth all day long. It's not very mundane, but it's also not very grounding or peaceful. So, what is the alternative to that, to this rush, this glorified busyness that we have in our life? What I am talking about here is unglorifying the act of being busy. And I would say that the antidote to this needing to be busy, this dopamine hits, this addiction to productivity, to our technology, is mindfulness. Now, the great thing is that most everybody who's been a part of this spiritual community or any spiritual community for any length of time has probably at least heard or tried out some mindfulness at some point. Is there anybody here who hasn't at least attempted mindfulness at some point in their life? It's generally a good idea, right? So I want to tell you a little bit about why are we mindful? Why do we do it? So it regulates our attention. It makes it so that we can have longer focused attention on the things that are important to us. And the beauty of that is the more we can hold our attention, the deeper we can go into something, the more that we can have this flow state. And then the better, the higher quality, more magnificent things we are putting out into the world. All of a sudden, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. It's about peacefulness while we're doing what it is we get to do. We get to approach all of our experiences with openness, curiosity, and acceptance. When we're practicing mindfulness, then we just get to be here now as we clean the litter box or wash the dishes or sweep the floor or stare at the birds or dust or talk to that neighbor we don't like very much or whatever it may be. All of a sudden there's this settled, grounded feeling of this is where I am right now, and that's okay. This is the life that I am having right now, and that's a beautiful thing. We get to train our brain to focus at a deeper level for longer periods of time. We lower stress and anxiety. I don't know about y'all, but I could always use some lowering of anxiety. I feel like even if I wake up and I do all my stuff, I'm meditated up, I've read, I've talked to my minister spouse about all of the ministerial things that we talk about, and and I've journaled and I've contemplated, and then I walk out into the world. I go to the grocery store, I turn on, I scroll through a news website or even a social media site right after something has happened. And all of a sudden, all of that piece is just out the window and we are back to stress and anxiety because that's what the world kind of brings up in us. And so we get to be very mindful and intentional about the lives that we are creating to lower our own stress and anxiety. And the more that we do that, the more that we lower the stress and the anxiety of the people around us. We have better sleep How many people would appreciate better sleep? I know I would. I think I was up 4 times last night, just wandering the house, petting the dog. Better sleep, and you can have more enjoyment. When you're paying full attention to what it is you're doing, you enjoy it more. Even if it's something you don't enjoy, you're just more present, and that presence allows you to have more enjoyment. All of a sudden, you notice all of the little tiny things that you never noticed before. You can appreciate and be grateful for the cat that makes it so you have to empty the litter box, or the beautiful dishes that you have that you get to eat off of every single day, or the home that you have that you get to keep clean, or the knickknacks that surround you that remind you of happy memories or beautiful things. All of a sudden, you're noticing all of those little tiny things that make your life so amazing. So, I'm all in on this whole mindfulness thing. I think y'all probably are too. So I want to talk about how to practice mindfulness. So what are some of y'all's ideas? And you can just shout them up. You can come up here if you want to answer, but just shout them out or put them online. What are some things that you do to practice mindfulness? Yes. Focus on breathing. That's not even on my list. Well done. Focus on breathing. Yeah. Just everybody take a deep breath right now. Can you feel yourself ground just a little bit, center just a little bit? Yes. What do you do? Meditation counts, yes. Meditation. We get to practice our meditation by being mindful. We get to, remind ourselves that in meditation, our brain is going to wander off because that's just what brains do. They wander away, and then we get to gently bring it back and remind ourselves. And in doing that over and over and over again in our meditation, we are reminding ourselves to be present. Absolutely. What else? What do you do to practice mindfulness? Yeah. Go ahead, Ed. Counting geese in the National Memorial Park every day. Yes, Ed loves to count, and he counts geese. I, similarly but a little bit different, have made a list of home birdies. That's right, all of the different birds that we have seen in our yard. I love to see the new birds and just kind of pay attention to the wildlife around me. Richard and then Nancy. Listening to music and reading a book at the same time or separately, whichever one you would like, and just being fully present in either one. I think this used to be a thing like back in the 80s. I don't know, maybe the kids nowadays still do it and I'm just out of touch, but I like to sit and listen to a whole album. Like when one of my amazing musician friends puts out an album, sometimes I'll just sit and listen to the album. I won't do anything else. I won't play a game on my phone or scroll Facebook or anything else. I'll just sit and listen to the music. Nancy and then Stephanie. Painting, yes, art. Art is an amazing, just painting, yep. Yeah, any sort of artsy, craftsy, is that what you were going to say? Our two artists at the same time raised their hands to say art. Doing those creative projects and just allowing yourself to fully immerse into it. Anybody online? Yes.
Focus on words or words of importance to you or to people.
Ooh, focus on word or words of importance that have a lot of meaning to you and repeat them. So I hear contemplation and affirmations in that. Just focusing on those things that are important to you and bringing more of that into your life. I love that. Do you have a word right now that you would mind sharing? So hum. So what does that mean? I am. So hum in Sanskrit, right? So hum is Sanskrit for I am. So hum. Let's all say that together. Ready? So hum. That's lovely. I'm not going to remember it. There's a really beautiful chant with So Hum in it. All right, so if anybody else, let me know if you come up with anything else. Let me tell you what I've come up with. So since we've been talking about how addicting technology can be, my first one is spend time technology free. Be intentionally tech free. So leave your phone in the drawer. I have found that my phone will creep back into my hand if I leave it out where I can see it. So I put it in a drawer if I don't want to have it around. Plan do nothing time into your day. I think what happens sometimes, I know it happens for me, I try not to do it, is that I'll have back-to-back meetings. You know, I'm meeting with this person and then this person and I'm doing that thing and I've scheduled this and I have to go to the doctor's and then I have to run to the grocery store, and it's just back-to-back things all day long. What I like to do instead is just have do nothing time between when one thing ends and the next thing begins, and I don't do anything. I don't turn on the TV or pick up the phone or turn on the computer. I just do nothing. Maybe I'll read, but a lot of times I just do nothing. Set a mindfulness timer to go off on that phone that's always on your person. So there's a mindfulness app called Mindfulness Bell app. That's what it's called. And you can set it up and it will ring a timer on your phone, and you can set it up for either even intervals or at random, and it will chime. It's a very beautiful sort of gongy, sound healing type chime. And it just reminds you, and then you stop what you're doing and you take a breath. And you return to the present moment. And you can have it go off as often as you would like. And if it's random, you can say 1 time an hour or 2 times an hour, and it'll go off, and you just return to the present moment. That one, I have to admit, I have a friend that does that. She has had the mindfulness app on her phone for years and years, and it drives me crazy. I am not a fan. It does. It drives me crazy. Probably because if I'm in the middle of something, I don't want to be mindful. I just want to keep being productive, right? But she is so good. She hears that chime and she'll stop mid-sentence. She'll stop listening to you. And I'm like, oh, I was mid-thought. But how cool is that to just stop for a second? And I've noticed it's something that I get to work on, because when I try to practice it with her, when I stay with her for the weekends or we're hanging out together, that it does. It kind of, I'm not a fan. It's so interesting. Schedule your time to check your email, to check your text, to check your phone messages, to play on your social media of choice. So how many people, as soon as your phone rings, you go look at it and answer it? Did you know that you are not obligated to respond just because somebody is reaching out to you? Because we think we do. We've been trained that the phone's ringing, you answer it. Or a text chimed, you read it and respond. That's not actually necessary. We don't have to do that. We do not have to be readily available to everyone all the time. You can schedule, I'm going to check my text messages and email at 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., and that's it. Otherwise, they can wait on me. And if it's somebody really important, they'll call 3 times in a row, and then I'll get curious and I'll look. You do not have to respond just because somebody has reached out to you. And then challenge yourself to be fully present in everything you do, in all of those boring chores. Maybe turn off the music, turn off the podcast, put the phone in the other room, turn off the TV, just wash the dishes, just clean the bathroom, just sweep the floor. And notice all of the little thoughts that come up through all of that. So I'm going to end with a quote from I I even practice this. Why highs, sudden awakening into the way. So this was a conversation between two people, and the one person says, "How do you practice?" And he says, "I eat and sleep." "How then do you differ to ordinary deluded people?" That's what he asks. And they respond, "Ordinary people, when sleeping and eating, are bound by 100 ropes. When sleeping, they don't sleep. When eating, they don't eat, constantly thinking about 1,000 things. Hence, why it's different. So when you sleep, you sleep. When you eat, you eat. When you clean, you clean." So that is what I invite you into this week, is to dive into the mundanity of life and just be with what is. Thank y'all. And now let's have, thank y'all. Let's have Lynn and Jen up for another song.
I think you can always make a song tie into any talk. This is a beautiful song you all know, "Imagine" by John Lennon. I hope you'll sing it with us. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say we're dreamers, but we're not the only ones. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if we can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say we're dreamers, but we're not the only ones. Hope someday all will join us,
Oh, thank you. Thank you both. And as part of the mundanity of life is money and all things business related. And so this is the time in our service for our gifts and our offerings. Because our gifts, our offerings, our time, our talent, our treasures is what keeps this center alive and vibrant and running. So if you have a donation for today, there are several different ways in which you can give that. You can put your gift in the basket. We have envelopes right over here to the left if you are in the room. If you are online, scan this QR code or go to celebrationcenter.org where you'll find our mailing address as well as the give button where you can click that and that will allow you to donate online. And now Jen has an affirmation and prayer for us.
So please join me in reading our affirmation. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so focusing on your heart, just imagine that heart expanding. And in that expansion, there is this generosity. And so recognizing all the ways that you give in this world. It includes giving to yourself, giving to your friends and family members, and giving to this amazing organization, the Celebration Center. And so we are grateful for all that we give, and then imagining all that we receive. In this law of circulation, there's giving and receiving in all kinds of forms, sharing from our talents and our financial contributions, and opening to receive. And so we are blessed by this law of circulation that provides an abundance and allows us to give. And so it is.
Okay, please join us in singing this beautiful song by Carrie Newcomer called Room at the Table. Let our hearts not be hardened to those living on the margins. There is room at the table for everyone. This is where it all begins. This is how we gather in. There is room at the table for everyone. Too long we have wandered, burdened and undone, but there is room at the table for everyone. Let us sing the new world in. This is how it all begins. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room for us all, and no gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. There's enough if we share. Come on, pull up a chair. There is room at the table for everyone. No matter who you are, no matter where you're from, there is room at the table for everyone. Here and now we all can be the beloved community. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room, there is all, and no gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. There's enough if we share. Come on, pull up a chair. There is room at the table for everyone. There's enough
Thank you, ladies, both. Thank you, everyone. Also, just really quick, I would like to point out my t-shirt. It says vote for love because this Tuesday is election day. So I want to remind everybody to get out there, make sure that you're voting, putting in your ballot, doing your research. And I invite you to do a prayer or treatment or some meditation or mindfulness before you go into the voting booth and think about who and what should I vote for that's going to align the most with my values, that's going to align with my spiritual principles, that's going to align with love. So that is the energy that we are going to take into the voting booth on Tuesday, and I invite and urge everyone to get out there and vote. And now, after last month's kerfuffle of my call and response being very long and hard to respond to, we have it written down for you. So I invite everybody to stand up and say along with me, not repeating after me. We're all going to say it together. I embrace the mundane moments of my life, finding beauty in the simplicity of everyday routines. I honor the profane aspects of my existence, recognizing that imperfection is a natural part of being human. I cherish the sacred moments that fill my life, understanding that they are gifts to be treasured. I am grateful, and so it is.